season? Are we kick-starting anything?
Yes, absolutely, Rob. Well, the season kickstarts things on its own. Of course, we see the blossoms coming out and leaves breaking and all the rest of it. But in the field, in terms of farming, the ryegrass needs a boost at this stage. And not only will you increase the protein and therefore the value of that grass to your stock, you'll get it cracking and it'll start to form those reproductive tillers, and that starts very, very early. And of course, wheat, it's endured the winter and it wants a bit of a lift in the spring. So yeah, nitrogen at this point, and look out for the flat weeds and look out for the potential aphid infestation of wheat.
Because aphids are already hitting. They're hitting my tulips, for goodness sake.
Yes, well, they're pretty, there's 1,300 varieties, as we know, Rob, so there's probably a tulip specialist tulip aphid.
Yeah,
one for everything.
Yeah, there is indeed. Yeah. Humus?
Yes, well, humus is basically the working back in of crop residues into the soil and not burning them, and that seems to be the flavour at the moment. Don't burn, but incorporate back into the soil. And of course, that has so many other side benefits that we need to really talk about them, and things like if you increase the humus content of your soil, it will be more moisture retentive, so it acts like a bit of a sponge, so that's great. Eventually that material will break down and become organic nitrogen, but there's a wee trick in between the time when it goes into the ground fairly intact and it rots down to produce organic nitrogen. It actually burns up nitrogeny bacteria in the soil, and so they get a bit exhausted if there's too much humus going in at once. For instance, a great whole lot of wheat straw or something like that. So then the trick is you have to add a bit of nitrogen to assist them to break it down to do their job.
Right.
So you need to really know what you're doing. And of course, then when you build up your humus, things like worms develop and get going in your soil, and soil structure. And as we both know, you can buy fertility out of a bag from a fertilizer company. You cannot buy soil structure, and overcultivation can kill that and cause erosion, all sorts of things. So soil structure is something we need to look after, and we do that with our rotations and the way we handle our soil.
Right. Changing the subject, you talked about aphid, and it brings into mind sprayers and cleaning them out.
Yes, absolutely, Rob. And the thing is to think about what you're doing, and the chemical you're using in a field is registered for the crop. Well, hopefully it is. Registered for the crop.
We will assume that it is.
We'll assume that it is. That it's registered for the crop that you're using it on. And therefore, in terms of sprayer clean down, what better place to leave it is out in the field, rather than take it back to your yard and wash it down and have it concentrate somewhere in your yard or wherever you're operating your sprayer. So the trick is to have, most sprayers these days do have a supply of fresh water, 200 or 300 litres of fresh water, which you can recirculate back through your sprayer when it's supposedly empty just as you finish the paddock. And then you can pump it round and out the nozzles and onto the crop. It'll be.
It won't dilute at that corner, though, will it?
Well, you move quite quickly, and you can alter your flow rate of your sprayer, so you're hardly diluting it, and it stays in where it should be on the crop that it should be, and has the environmental fate that it should have.
Yep.
Best place for it.
Small holdings and home gardens.
Yes, Rob. Well, there's a lot of enthusiasm for beekeeping. Individual people with one hive or some with a small holding with 5 or 10 hives, and that can spell disaster to the commercial beekeepers. In particular, those home gardeners and small holders won't be in tune with controlling varroa or having to treat it. And what has and will continue to happen is that those homegrown hives will infect the commercial hives and bring pressure on them. So where it's a lovely idea to have a beehive in your backyard, you could be really detrimentally affecting commercial operators, and indeed if those varroa are not controlled in your own hive, it will probably eventually peter out. So just a wee thing.
So leave it to the professionals.
Leave it to the professionals. And again, with likes of home gardeners and seeds, beets and things, red beet, sugar beet, silver beet, that are left to go to seed and flower, they potentially can, that pollen can travel for kilometres and infect and cross-pollinate commercial crops. So get it out.
Yes, exactly. Just
Well,
a bit of vigilance.
Eat it when you should eat it, and don't let it go to a seed crop, because when it gets to a seed crop, it can be potentially lethal to crops within 4, 5, 6, 7 kilometres of your home garden.
Especially in the more west, if it, Dennis, thank you
Absolutely.
very much indeed.